Okay, this next segment, I want this to be a positive conversation. There are a lot of people, they may be supporting the Liberals right now, who also acknowledge that the last 10 years have been a disaster. And yet they feel that sticking with this horse will change that. That's fine. We're going to stick a pin in that debate. Instead, what I want to do is I want to look forward and I want to talk about what can we do as a nation to improve? What are some of the big picture ideas that maybe defy policy? Maybe they defy politics. Let's talk about the things that we as a nation can do so that the next 10 years look nothing like the last 10 years. And someone I love talking to about these sorts of things, Tony Chapman, host of the award-winning podcast, Chatter That Matters, as well as the founder of Chatter AI. Tony, welcome back to the Ben Mulroney Show and happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I love talking to you as well.
So that's what I want to do. I don't want this to be a rag on the last 10 years. Let's acknowledge that there have been massive failures that have put us in a hole. And let's look to the big ideas that could spur investment, get us moving as a country. So I throw it to you, my friend.
Well, the first one I would look at is tourism. It represents 10% of the world's global economy. It is the last bastion for hiring workers that sort of are immune from AI. And Canada has some of the most beautiful places in the world. But just instead of just relying on geography, if we focus on the place to be, the experiences, and I cite two examples, upcoming podcasts, Fogo Island, where they took a finger out of Newfoundland and created the Fogo Island Inn that's now world-renowned. Everything that goes into that inn is owned by the local people, the rugs, the furniture, the food. It's created this circular economy and it's kept young people there. I would argue the same thing with Cabot. If you're a golfer and you look
I've been there. It's a special place.
It's a special place, and people from all over the world come. And when they do, they share it on their social media. Yeah. And this is what Canada, first and foremost.
There's also Tofino, BC.
Tofino, BC is a great one for surfing. And there's so many of them that we could be looking at beyond the fact that we have a high tower in Toronto and we have Niagara Falls. What are they're great places, but what are the places to be human again? Longevity, rediscovering yourself, nature, everything that Canada offers. Present that to the world, build it, and they will come.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. Also making it easier to get to those places and maybe look, Fogo Island is great if you can afford it, but what they've proven there is that experiential model could work perhaps on a more budget conscious scale. So if you could have, some sort of smaller, cheaper analog to Fogo Island somewhere in that area where people could experience and enjoy what we have naturally in Canada, but on a smaller budget. I think those are the types of things that could actually help as well.
Absolutely. And again, you can't be all things to all people. There's certainly places in Canada that are very much sort of that the youth economy that really wants to see Canada for $25 a day. My point is, it's got to be about the experience. It's got to be memories that last a lifetime. That would be my first one. The second one I would call is old and new. So we've got these old resources sitting in Canada. Let's harvest them. Let's provide them to our allies. But as we extract them from the ground, let's also take some of the royalties that we earn and fund a new economy, intellectual resources. So we're combining both to create this new wealth for Canada. And what I mean by intellectual resources is entrepreneurs. There's 100,000 less entrepreneurs today than there was 10 years ago. That is one of the most horrific statistics because entrepreneurship is going to power the new economy. I want these ideas staying in Canada. I want them capitalized in Canada. I want entrepreneurs from around the world to say, to get first mover advantage, I'm going to come to Canada. Yeah. And if we have that capital pool available, people are going to go, where else would I want to build my dreams than a country that is as beautiful as Canada? So that would be my second thing.
Yeah, and I got to say, I wish that the conversation around natural resource extraction wasn't do we do it or not. I wish it was, how do we do it? How do we do it in the most environmentally sustainable way? How do we do it to have the most impact on Canadians? How do we do it so that we are selling it in a way that helps spread Canadian values around the world? How do we do it so that we can then take the earnings and fund our social safety net? But as you just said, also with an eye towards the future and building the next economy. I think like that to me is how I wish that conversation was going.
And it doesn't, because it's either one way or the other. Which I think about the peace of mind to an ally that says, my house is being heated by Canadian liquid natural gas versus a state that wants to destroy me. How about Canadian food? And I don't want to just sell commodities. We've got the largest reserves of uranium. Why aren't we leading in the
Yeah.
new micro nuclear reactors? So we combine the two and say, listen, let's go upstream with these commodities. Canadian food around the world. Where are you going to want to have your food? From the efficacy of Canadian soil, our water, our fresh air, or in a farm that's being manufactured in a country that has zero
Yeah.
interest in terms of what you're eating and all just focused on the profit they can make from it. So this is what Canada can stand for and really revitalize. One last one, Ben. Look at your show. You've become one of the top podcasts already in Canada. You're heading that way in North America. We're very good at content. You got one of the top commanders in George. Why aren't we creating content and exporting it around the world instead of subsidizing CBC? Say CBC, look at BBC with Downton Abbey, with Top Gear, some of the shows that they've produced around the world that they're making a fortune on. Why don't we use Canadian content creators and export our content to the world versus just subsidize for a local news that might have lost its value and relevancy? That's what CBC should be doing.
Okay, what do you mean by take the long game on health?
Well, here's the other thing. Like family doctors, we have three choices: beg them not to retire, find a way to bring more in, or build more medical schools. That's one solution. How about the other solution is the long game is AI. In the future, 99% of what a family practitioner does can be done by AI. As long as you've done diagnostic testing, as long as you have genome mapping in your body, as long as they know precisely who you are, that AI can prescribe 95% of the reasons you'd go to a family doctor. And more importantly, it can point you in the direction to a specialist. Yeah. And the family doctor can be revitalized and reinvented to, again, go upstream and solve big medical problems because they got access to AI as well. So instead of just being this sort of facilitator and curator that moves people painfully through a system that still relies on fax machines, for God's sakes, let's use AI and say, we're going to lead the world. And there's a company called BioAero out of Calgary that knows it's possible because guess what? Canadian technology has been sold to Singapore and Saudi Arabia as we speak versus Canada, which should be leading at it.
Yeah. All right. Reimagining education. Talk to me about this. And we only have about a minute and a half left for both of these.
We spent so much time on ideology and horsehair blankets and all the things we've done wrong in the past, and not enough getting our youth to be focused on what is it going to take to compete in the future where jobs are in the cloud, AI is in every corner of the marketplace, collaboration, creative, critical thinking. That's the ideas that we need to foster. And I want to draft these kids in high school based on their interests, like we draft them in high school based on their sports and athletic ability, move them through a system where they graduate without any education expenses and hit the ground running. That's the future of education.
So there's betting on the winners. That also sort of seems to dovetail into this last one of reward the builders.
Yeah, reward the entrepreneurs. I want $10 million of your capital gains is tax-free in the United States. Reward people for building a business in Canada. You keep it here for 10 years. You hire people. We're going to provide you capital, and we're going to let you to take your rewards tax-free because you took the risk. And you've spread that risk in terms of building our economy, and for that, we thank you. We want to be the home, the epicenter for entrepreneurship around the world.
Tony, I want to have an optimistic conversation that's steered away from the partisan politics that we have to deal with because there's an election. And I think you hit the nail on the head, man. That was an aggressively optimistic view on how we can build the next 10 years. I want to thank you very much. I think you've set a great tone for this week for me here at the Ben Maloney Show. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Pleasure, my friend.